After a year of flip-flopping on COVID, Dr. Anthony Fauci unveils a new book filled with lessons he's learned over the years about truth.
Yeah. Here to react is Fox News contributor and media opinion columnist for The Hill, Joe Concha. Joe, your wife is a doctor, right? Everything is about credibility in the field. Why does Anthony Fauci still have credibility?
Boy, you thought the Kardashians were overexposed, Lawrence. Dr. Fauci, I think his credibility is waning at this point because he is so overexposed. He's never been a microphone he didn't like, and half the time he's doing interviews sharing his feelings, you know, hair standing on the back of your neck sort of thing, instead of actual data, actual science. Look, I think many in the country, Lawrence, threw up in their mouth a little bit when they heard that Dr. Anthony Fauci will be releasing a book on the pandemic, thereby profiting off the pandemic. We should probably bundle this book, you know, save a couple of bucks, with Andrew Cuomo's book, who got a $5 million book advance while the pandemic was still raging, so he could spike the football in the end zone, talking about what a great job he did when he did, and this isn't even up for debate, the worst job of any governor if you look at the numbers. Again, you had Cuomo profiting off a pandemic, a government official. Now we have Fauci doing it as well. I think this is appalling, guys.
So Senator Kennedy was grilling him, Dr. Fauci, on the gain of function research, just saying, how can you trust that China didn't use money that the NIH gave China and gave the lab to do this research and then spread the virus accidentally? Listen to this.
All right.
You gave them money and you said, don't do gain of function research.
Correct.
And they said, we won't.
Correct.
And you have no way of knowing whether they did or not, except you trust them. Is that right?
Well, we generally always trust the grantee to do what they say.
He generally trusts the grantee over in China to do what they say. Then this morning we learned there's a key figure at the Wuhan lab that wrote a personal thank you email to Dr. Fauci for downplaying the lab leak theory. What's your reaction?
China's always been so forthright, so of course we should trust them with hundreds of thousands of dollars given to them by our National Institute of Health. Look, with this book, I want to know what chapter Dr. Fauci is going to talk about this particular part in terms of giving this money for gain-of-function research. How about the part about, I don't know, in March, early March, when the governors of Texas and Mississippi lifted their mask mandates, and Fauci and the President of the United States and others said that this will lead to an explosion in cases, hospitalizations, deaths. I wonder where that's going to be expressed. Or how about his position on masks, which went from no mask to months later in 2020, no, you should absolutely wear a mask, 2 months later, no, really double masking is common sense, to after you're vaccinated, you should still wear a mask and not go to a restaurant until it's okay for you to not wear a mask and go to a restaurant. If these things aren't discussed in this book, and he explains exactly his evolution of thinking as to why, the National Geographic, the publisher, should pull this book. Not today, not next week, not next month, today.
The difference between Governor Cuomo's release of his book and this is because he's disgraced since the book came out. I think Dr. Fauci is going to be defrocked before his book comes out. National Geographic is his publisher. Remember, in February, he told us this virus will not be a problem here. And now he had, by the end of this, don't forget, we went through a goggles phase. Remember, if we really want to be sure, wear goggles. Wear 2 masks and goggles. That is his answer. That's what he spends his life doing, wear goggles and 2 masks. And then he never studied the success stories. I never understood that. Why is it going down here? We only looked at where it went up. I cannot believe he's doing this, but I actually can't believe he got to this point and is still lauded.
And then remember, they criticized President Trump for closing the borders that January. And then in February, President Biden, who was not the president then, was saying xenophobic.
Right. Absolutely.
And Dr. Fauci, there's a poll that just out yesterday that shows that about 2/3 of Americans believe that his decisions were made through a political prism. That's not what our scientists, our doctors are supposed to do, become another bureaucrat. But sure enough, that's exactly what Dr. Fauci has become. He made this political because in the end, he is a political person.
That's why he's the highest paid federal employee. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.